Welcome to Sissygram Spicy Story channel. If you like my voice, then hit the like button and do subscribe our channel for regular updates. Today I come up with whole new content of story. So now let's start the story. Hello everyone. My name is Alina and I was born and raised in a small town in Maryland. A peaceful place lined with tree-shaded streets and neat rows of houses. It's where I spent most of my childhood with my parents. My mother, Anna, was a kind and gentle woman, always smiling as she prepared breakfast in our small kitchen and went about her day. My father, Maxim, was a man of few words but incredibly responsible. He worked hard to provide for our family. And although our house was modest, it was always filled with love and warmth. My childhood memories were idyllic, or at least that's how I remember them. But when I was 15, my world changed forever. My mother passed away after a brief illness, so sudden and unexpected that I barely had time to process what was happening. Her death left a gaping void, and our once lively home grew quiet and somber. My father, though he tried to stay strong, became lonely, and I felt as though the connection we once shared was slipping away. Life carried on, but it was never the same. Every morning, I went to school, and every evening, I came home to the same small kitchen and the same simple meals, but my mother's presence was no longer there. Now, there were only two of us at the table, but the emotional distance between my father and me felt insurmountable. When I turned 18, my father remarried. Thank you for sticking with me until of this story. If you enjoyed it, please consider supporting us by liking this story or subscribing our channel. Okay, let's continue. His new wife, Maya, was kind and gentle, and I knew deep down that he deserved happiness again. Maya came with a son, James, who was a year younger than me at first. The new family dynamic felt strange, as if my life had been turned upside down once more. Gone was the quiet stability I had grown used to. But I tried to adjust, knowing that change was inevitable. James was reserved. Much like me, I think he too was trying to adapt to the sudden shift in our lives. In the evenings, the four of us would sit together in the living room, my father and Maya discussing work and future plans, while James and I exchanged hesitant glances, unsure of how to relate to one another. Family meals became an opportunity to get to know each other. But there was always a faint tension in the air. James often surprised me with small gestures, like picking up food for me during meals that felt oddly significant. He didn't speak much, but sometimes I caught him looking at me for just a moment too long. At first, I dismissed it, thinking it was just part of the awkward adjustment to our new roles as step-siblings. But as time passed, I couldn't ignore the way my feelings toward him began to shift. What should have been a sisterly bond became more complicated. My heart would race when James was near, and I began to notice things about him I shouldn't have. His quiet confidence, his subtle charm. I hated the way I felt. Hated that I was drawn to him in a way that defied what was supposed to be. One night, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. James occasionally came to my room late at night to talk, but this time was different. He lingered longer than usual, his eyes meeting mine as if he had something important to say. The silence stretched between us, heavy and charged, until I nodded slightly, wordlessly inviting him to stay. We sat together in the darkness, barely speaking, but the atmosphere between us was thick with unspoken emotions. I was drawn to him in a way I couldn't explain, and I hated myself for it. He was my stepbrother, And yet, every moment we shared only deepened the connection I felt. Our late-night conversations became a habit. And though I tried to rationalize my feelings, blaming the close quarters of our home and the upheaval in our lives, I couldn't deny that I saw James as more than a stepbrother. Then, one night, everything changed. My father and Maya had gone on a trip, leaving James and me alone for 5 days. At first, we treated it as a chance to relax and enjoy some freedom. That evening, we decided to watch a movie together, a romantic film. We laughed, snacked on dried fruit, and opened a couple of beers. But as an intimate scene played on the screen, the air between us shifted. The lightheartedness disappeared, replaced by a suffocating tension. I could feel James' gaze on me, and for the first time, it didn't feel like the look of a brother. A warm, unsettling sensation spread through me, and before I knew it, he had moved closer. His arms wrapped around me with an urgency that caught me off guard. His kisses were passionate and intense, and though my mind screamed that it was wrong, my heart and body betrayed me that night. We crossed a line we could never uncross. The boundaries of familial affection dissolved, and we stepped into forbidden territory. The next morning, as sunlight streamed through my curtains, I lay in bed beside James, consumed by the weight of what we had done. We didn't speak much, but we both knew that everything had changed. When my father and Maya returned, life resumed as though nothing had happened. Outwardly, we played the roles of step-siblings, but underneath the surface, everything was different. Our secret relationship continued, filled with stolen moments and whispered conversations late at night. The guilt gnawed at me, but the pull between us was too strong to resist. Eventually, James graduated and moved away for college, and the distance forced us to drift apart. I realized it was time to let go. After graduating myself, I started a new job and met John, a man who was stable, kind, and exactly what I needed. We fell in love, and before long, we were married. Now, I have a family of my own. John and I have a child, and our life is peaceful and fulfilling in many ways. But the memories of James linger in the back of my mind. The stolen nights and forbidden moments are like ghosts that refuse to leave. Sometimes I wonder if I should tell John the truth about my past. Would he still love me if he knew? Or would the weight of my confession destroy the life we've built together? I'm at a crossroads, torn between the need to unburden myself and the fear of losing everything. If you've listened to my story, you might judge me for the choices I've made. But I can only ask, what would you do in my position? Would you risk everything for the truth? Or keep the past buried to protect the people you love? I welcome your advice, sympathy, or even criticism. I'm lost and unsure of which path to take. This is where the story wraps up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. See you next time.